timeout.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Kenny, and welcome to ESPN Classic's Top 5 Reasons You Can't Blame. They were the hippest fraternity in the country and way ahead of their time. With their pressing defense, fast break, and never-ending thirst for breathtaking dunks, the Houston Cougars stormed into the national sports culture. With Clyde the Glide, Hakeem the Dream, and Mr. Mean, they were Phi Slama Jama. At one point, while running off 26 straight victories, it seemed they couldn't lose. But lose they did. In 1983 to North Carolina State, and in 1984, again in the national championship, when they lost to Georgetown. Before we count down the top 5 reasons you can't blame Phi Slama Jama for not winning a title, let's look back in awe.
And Clyde hammers it home.
Coach Lewis used to laugh and say he could have recruited on a bicycle. We were all from the Houston area.
We wanted to go to University of Houston and let everybody know that Texas can play basketball also.
It was a tremendous experience for us to come together and go to a major university and be successful.
That was a great team to be on. Very talented group of guys who really came from nowhere.
By the fall of 1980, Houston coach Guy Lewis had a team comprised of one high school All-American, Rob Williams, and some high-octane players unknown to much of the hoops world. And then in October came the one who would be the difference maker.
The scout in Africa had told Guy that he was 7 feet tall, but Guy said, I've had scouts tell me about 7-footers, and then when they come to you, they're 6'7" or 6'8".
I got a call about 2 weeks later from New York City. I'm Hakeem Olajuwon. He said, I want to come to Houston.
We were just hanging around the university one day, and this tall guy got out of a yellow cab, and he just kept unfolding.
He came from Lagos, Nigeria. You plop him down in the middle of the Houston High School All-City team, and presto, you've got Phi Slama Jama.
After redshirting his first year, the still raw Hakeem Olajuwon came off the bench in the fall of 1981, bolstering a starting 5 of senior captain Lyndon Rose, juniors Larry Mishaw and Williams, and sophomores Clyde Drexler and Michael Young.
It was like Guy V. Lewis had a stable of thoroughbreds. You let the thoroughbreds run.
Take the ball to the basket strong, try to get to the line. With that attitude, what we started doing was trying to just dunk everything.
When you dunk, you set up your defense. Everyone is fired up, and we can press.
Once you get the routine down, pressing, trapping, getting in the passing lane, stealing the ball, it's so much fun.
That team was supposed to be a year away, but Rob Williams made that team go.
Williams led Houston in scoring and into the 1982 Final Four. But against #1 North Carolina, he shot blanks.
All-American who was averaging over 25 points. Did not have a very good game. I never scored 2 points even when I was 5 years old. So I get to the biggest game of my life and I go 0 for 8.
That 68-63 loss was Williams' collegiate farewell. But Olajuwon was just beginning. He developed his game in brutal off-season sparring sessions with Moses Malone.
I just am amazed at how much he's improved over the last year.
When they could get out in the open court and run, they were most effective. But nevertheless, in the half court, they would settle down and get the ball inside to Olajuwon.
Underneath, Olajuwon.
And to have a big guy that could run up and down the floor with you and play that style of ball at that level made it even better.
In January of 1983, after watching the Cougars detonate 10 dunks against Pacific, Houston Post writer Thomas Bonk dubbed them Phi Slama Jama. They frolicked their way to 22 straight wins, entering the NCAA tournament.
I've never seen another school that actually keeps dunk statistics, but they do.
If you doubled Hakeem, they got guys that can shoot. If you didn't double them, they have good slashers.
They get out in the open court, got that ball to Alvin Franklin and Drexler and Michael Young on the wings. It was over.
Drexler.
But defensively is where they broke you down. They broke the other team's spirit.
They knew they could take a lot of risk in the half court because not only did they have Hakeem back there, but they had Larry Mishaw, who was a pretty good shot blocker as well.
Drexler or Young or Mishaw would pick it up, and it was off to the races.
#1 in the polls, Houston incinerated Maryland, Memphis State, and Villanova in the NCAA tournament. In the Final Four, the Cougars met another aerial circus, number 2 Louisville.
They played a game that was never played ever in the history of college basketball against Louisville. Both teams played completely above the rim.
A reverse dunk.
They just ran us off the court.
He went up on the alley-oop and stuffed it.
It was 22-1 run.
Drexler, wow!
And that just shows you right there that we just ran out of gas.
Nice Slama, Jama. 3 dunks in a row.
After we beat Louisville, I just started like licking my fingers. Yeah, it's good. It's going to be real good.
Boasting a 31-2 record, Houston was a 9-point favorite over 10-time loser North Carolina State in the title game. Almost everyone expected a walkover, including the Cougars.
When you're the caliber team like we are, you're going to go a little cocky.
These guys wasn't taking us serious at all. They thought they had this game won.
We couldn't get the shots. We couldn't get our running game going.
It looked as though they were playing not to lose rather than to win.
Knocked away by Lowe. Franklin loses the ball.
Biggest thing I think they did is get Clyde Drexler into foul trouble in the first half.
Clyde Drexler got his 4th foul.
He's one of our energy guys out here. And we just couldn't get the momentum going.
Down 33-25 at the half, the Cougars turned to the dream to rescue them from their nightmare.
Olajuwon was unstoppable.
Hakeem Olajuwon had tied the score.
They got the ball down the post. He turned, he scored, he rebounded, he blocked shots.
Rejected.
Olajuwon ignited a 17-2 run that shot Houston into a 42-35 lead midway through the second half. But when the tiring big man had to make a pit stop, Lewis took the foot off the accelerator.
I didn't want to slow it down. We finally gotten up on these guys. Let's go ahead and take them out.
When they got slower, I think they just really played into our hands.
Wittenberg came down and he hit 2 or 3 in a row, got us back in the game.
Wittenberg tries the 22-footer. Banks it in.
Where Guy Lewis screwed up is he pulls the ball out against NC State.
They're playing a foreign game right now to their style.
And turns it into a foul shooting contest. Insane.
Houston's lead was cut to 4 with less than 3 minutes left when Young went to a haunting place, the free throw line.
His free throw is missed.
I miss free throws. Quite a few of us miss free throws. And they would come back down and score.
And the Wolfpack is within 2.
The game was tied at 52 when NC State coach Jim Valvano purposely put Houston freshman Alvin Franklin on the line.
65 seconds left. Franklin's free throw is no good.
We missed the front end of a couple of one-on-one free throw situations that could have iced the game.
In the final seconds, NC State got off a shot, but not the one it planned.
Wittenberg tries about a 30-footer. No good. Step back. Lorenzo slams it in.
The surprising thing to me was I was up there and nobody else was there with me.
Hakeem, if he would have been back toward the rim, we would have probably won that game.
We played them 20 times. I still don't think they win but one game.
It don't matter if they can beat us 19 more times. We beat them in the game that count.
Young, Drexler, Larry Nishaw scored 14 points total. How many times are you going to win when 3 of your best players score 14 points?
We just didn't go out and take care of business like we normally do. That was our year.
The 1983-84 season was a bittersweet repeat for Houston. 32 wins, another trip to the NCAA championship game, and another loss. This one to Georgetown.
Had Houston been able to win just one time, they'd be considered one of the more powerful college basketball teams of all time. And as it turns out, they're just an asterisk.
Houston might have had the brightest stars and grabbed the biggest headlines, but not everything was perfectly aligned for a Cougars championship run. Before we begin the countdown of our top 5 reasons why you can't blame Phi Slama Jama for never winning a national championship, let's take a look at some of the reasons that didn't make the cut. We call them the best of the rest. Georgetown. In the Final Four, Patrick Ewing and his wrecking crew improved to 33-3 by holding Kentucky to only 3 baskets in the second half. Houston was overmatched against the imposing Hoyas.
We didn't have Mishaw, we didn't have Clyde, and so we had two freshmen down there trying to battle a full-grown man, and it was a mismatch.
Loops it into Graham, and the alley-oop is perfect.
Graham was getting a lot of weak side dunks. When Ewing wasn't there, he was coming second, blocking shots.
They just clearly didn't have the talent to compete with them.
Georgetown has won the national championship.
Our other best of the rest, George Foreman's retreat. In 1977, the Houston native and former heavyweight champion went into retirement, taking the city's sports mojo with him.
They were so close to winning in some of the greatest playoffs ever.
The Phillies win it.
And that's kind of what Houston got known for.
Houston went through a stretch with all of their sports teams where they were having bad luck.
I'd never put it together that George Foreman might have been the curse.
During Foreman's 10-year hibernation, Houston's frustrations were doubled. 2 lost NBA Finals, 2 lost AFC Championship games, 2 lost National League Championship Series,
Struck him out,
and 2 lost NCAA title contests.
I'll blame it on Big George for leaving, but coming back, it went from choke city to clutch city.
Hey, maybe Slama Jama was before its time.
Sam Perkins. In the 1982 Final Four, North Carolina had first-team All-American James Worthy and a freshman named Michael Jordan. But it was Perkins who missed only 2 field goal attempts on his way to 25 points, eliminating Houston.
Sam Perkins is the one reason we beat, I think, Houston more than any one player.
Oh, he was unbelievable. Silky smooth left-hander and could get open in the paint.
We all knew Sam was that good, but I don't think our focus was on Sam. Our focus was on James Worthy at the time. And to step up and perform like he did kind of took us by surprise.
A year later, it was Perkins' misses, 16 of them in the ACC tournament semifinals against North Carolina State, that haunted Houston. Perkins got off the potential game-winning shot that would have kept NC State out of the NCAA tournament.
At the buzzer, oh!
I'm watching that thing and I said, oh my goodness, please don't go in.
They got it to Sam. I'll tell you, it was there.
We wouldn't have made the NCAA tournament. There would have been no dream season, no national championship.
I wish he had have made that shot. Maybe we'd be talking about a championship right now. But so far, Sam haven't played in our favor.
1 reason down, 4 to go. Here's reason number 4. Spencer Haywood. His legal test case in 1970 freed collegiate players to leave school early for the NBA. More than a decade later, that ruling would cost Houston, whose best players weren't seniors.
Clyde Drexler moving in on Drexler.
They would probably have at least 1 national championship. You know, when the NBA comes calling, it's hard to turn down.
Houston lost its rudder when junior point guard Rob Williams left after the 1982 season.
He was Allen Iverson before Allen Iverson. He had unlimited range. He was as talented with the ball as anybody I've ever seen.
If he would have stayed the 4 years or 3 years, I'm pretty sure they would have won.
After that loss to North Carolina State in the 1983 championship game, junior Clyde Drexler opted for the NBA.
That's 20 points and about 5 steals and 12, 13 rebounds. You got to have that.
I would have liked to have seen that finals game between Georgetown and Houston with Drexler and Olajuwon side by side.
Graham was killing us. We're running a 1-3-1 defense. He's killing us on weak side rebounds. At halftime, we went in, and I looked at somebody and said, sure would like to see Clyde walk in about now.
I think we would have had our national championship. He would have been the difference maker.
Finally, Olajuwon, who had a year of eligibility left, departed for the pros after the 1984 season.
We would have had a chance to go back to the Final Four if Olajuwon was there. I mean, that was the big piece.
If there were no hardship rule, you'd be looking at 2 national championships for the Houston Cougars rather than this empty bucket.
Albuquerque. This mile-high city played host to the 1983 Final Four, where the New Mexico altitude took its toll.
Shortness of breath, your nostrils start burning.
Your arms and legs go numb. And after a while, you adjust, but you're numb.
You had to know how to rest yourself out there. You know, you couldn't sprint down the floor every possession.
But Phi Slama Jama continued to play full-throttle basketball in the Final Four, and so did Louisville.
Who you play in the semifinals and the type of game that you have is an impact on the final.
NC State, Georgia played a nice little well-orchestrated semifinal game, and then those two teams came out and just sprinted up and down the front, dunked on each other for 40 minutes.
Play is so frantic, you can hardly follow it from end to end.
The energy that the Cougars spent in beating Louisville had a lot to do with them getting off to a slow start against North Carolina State.
The Cougars finally regained their legs and opened a 7-point lead halfway into the second half. But then they faltered in the thin air.
They got a little lead on us, and the altitude got to Olajuwon a little bit.
The basketball gods got him tired.
He's going to the oxygen tank.
And we ended up getting back into the basketball game.
Coach Lewis did exactly what he should have done, and that was spread that thing out, and let's see if we can hang on to this win.
Michael Young said after the game, they did not have the energy to make the cuts and the crisp passing that it required.
I think a lot of the altitude and the run-and-gun style against Louisville slowed Houston down a lot.
3 reasons down, 2 to go. Here's reason number 2. The Horned Frogs. TCU first demonstrated how to put the brakes on Phi Slama Jama.
TCU may be the only team that we played that had the ability to slow us down.
The Cougars like to get up and down the floor, and when they weren't, it was like they were hamstrung.
TCU finished only 4th in the Southwest Conference in 1983, but put a scare into Houston 3 times, including the league's tournament final.
We might have been the only team in the conference that was running a flex. It was passing the ball around, 15, 20 times before you take a shot.
We had a tendency that the slower the other team played, the faster we played. And we take even a quicker shot.
And we get the rebound, and we back to throwing the ball around 15, 20 times again.
TCU's guards controlled the pace of play, while its front line imposed their physicality.
What gave Hakeem problems was usually a big center, a guy that could kind of push him out and keep him away from the basket a little bit, and that's what TCU had.
My goal was to never let Olajuwon even get a rebound, and when you can't get rebounds, you can't get fast breaks.
2 ways to beat us is slow the ball down and get the front line in foul trouble, and Christensen was great at it.
Led by a trio of seniors, forward Thurl Bailey and guards Derek Wittenberg and Sidney Lowe, NC State followed TCU's blueprint for a win and a championship.
Valvano, he probably got the tape from TCU.
Man, they must have watched our films because they're trying to do exactly what we did.
Othell Wilson. North Carolina State was 19th in the polls and dominating number 2 Virginia on January 12, 1983, when the Wolfpack caught a blessing in disguise.
Derek Wittenberg got hurt. He had 27 points in the first half against Ralph Sampson in Virginia. He came down on Othell Wilson's foot and broke his foot.
That took the sails out of us a little bit because he was one of our key scorers.
That right there messed up our chemistry. In my mind, that's why we had as many losses as we did.
NC State blew a 16-point lead in losing to Virginia and struggled to go 9-6 without Wittenberg. The Wolfpack teetered on the ledge, but didn't fall.
Well, what happened was the younger guys, myself included, got a lot of experience through that time when Derek Wittenberg was out.
Got it. He's automatic.
It was a perfect scenario, and it made them better because it made all of the other players have to take, more prominent roles.
By the end of the year when he came back, now you've got a more complete team.
With Wittenberg back, all the moving parts were humming in their regular season finale as the Wolfpack demolished Wake Forest 130-89.
I was finally getting my rhythm, and I was really back in to stay now.
We had to build it all the way back again. That's why I'm as proud of this ball club of any club that I've been with. It's a loss for North Carolina State, 81-78.
The idea that a team would win the ACC tournament and did so well up until Wittenberg got hurt would be dismissed so easily. It was really kind of hard to believe.
In 3 of the previous 4 NCAA tournaments, the champions had been led by guards named Magic, Dr. Duncanstein, and Isaiah. And in the 4th, it was a guard named Jordan making the winning basket. All this seemed to be a favorable omen for NC State, whose veteran backcourt was not intimidated.
Sidney Lowe just stared right at Michael Jordan, stripped him down defensively.
They were both adept shooters and ball handlers, Both of them were outstanding defenders and could take the ball in transition.
Wittenberg puts it up and drops it in.
That's two of the finest guards I've ever seen on one basketball team.
Despite its 9-game winning streak, the Cardiac Pack was given little chance against Phi Slama Jama. But the NC State guards prevailed. Wittenberg and Lowe scored 16 of State's 21 second-half points and forced the game to be played on their terms.
That backcourt mix really played into the hands of what the college game is all about, and that's controlling transition to a running team like Phi Slama Jama.
We could not press Wittenberg and Sidney Lowe. So that became very difficult. We did not get the shot attempts.
Houston, you weren't going to stop Valvano by the time he got to that game. You can't blame Houston, even with Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon.
Well, there you have it, the top 5 reasons you can't blame Phi Slama Jama for never winning a national championship. Although Houston didn't survive the one-and-done format of the NCAA tournament, its 3-year run of sustained excellence and unrivaled flair should live for generations in our memory. I'm Brian Kenny. Thanks for joining us.